person drinking tea over there. Isn't that Yelan? Aren't we gonna go say hi?
Well, Officer Edler, after all that work, I think we've got them this time. Might take a few days to wrap up things in the field. In the meantime, I think you've earned yourself a break.
Much appreciated, Miss Yelan. This case really took it out of me. 13 strongholds. One thieving weasel after another. We rounded up so many people, you almost start to hope a few were innocent, just to balance it out. I'm just glad we finally took down these crooks. Anyway, I'm gonna drop in on that old classmate of mine in Chaoying Village and reminisce about old times.
Don't forget to take some tea and dim sum back to your friends at the Maison Gardiennage. Another pleasant surprise. Traveler, Paimon, take a seat. Excuse me, a pot of your finest Yunlai white tea, if you would, and 2 more place settings. Now, judging by that expression, I assume you came over to ask about the 2 spies that were just watching us. Oh, more than that, I'm sure. I bet they already sent someone to tail Officer Edler. Anything to foil our operation.
Oh, so you're tracking down some criminals? They've got some nerve spying on you like that. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon.
Mora laundering, to the tune of 10 figures and counting.
Laundry? What does that have to do with Mora? And who are these figures? There are 10 of them?
In layman's terms, a certain merchant in Fontaine possesses a large amount of Mora obtained through illicit means. But it's easy to get caught when you're moving that kind of cash. So you cover your tracks, create a front to avoid detection, and what do you know? Your illegal Mora now looks completely legit. And this merchant's front of choice? Fine art and antique auctioneering. He buys goods from all over Tevat, brings them back to Fontaine, and rebrands them as pieces of fine art, driving up their price in the process. Then, when the items go to auction, he buys them up at their inflated price with his own illicit funds. And through this exchange, the proceeds he receives in return are clean. That's to be expected, I suppose. In Chenyu Vale, you can get your hands on exquisite antiques without breaking the bank. Tea sets, porcelain, jade, statues, all easily marketed as pieces of fine art. Liyue goods being used in illicit underground schemes poses a real threat to our trade standing in the long run. So, instead of getting to enjoy my long-awaited vacation in Fontaine, it's back to work for me.
Okay, Paimon thinks she gets it now. It's like moving Mora from one hand to the other. In other words, just disguising where it originally came from. But if you know what this merchant is up to, shouldn't it be pretty easy to catch him? You go to the auction, wait for him to appear, then nab him right as he goes to purchase his expensive piece of Liyue art.
Not a bad plan, Paimon. But there are too many loose ends. If you were the mastermind behind this whole scheme, would you really expose yourself as the face of the operation?
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want to be seen doing the dirty work. You'd send someone else instead. Like, if Paimon was the bad guy, she'd send the Traveler. No, wait. Even if Paimon turned bad, the Traveler would never. Paimon would need, like, a group of minions or something. Oh, Paimon gets it now. Even if you track down the goods, if this dark financier guy isn't the one doing the buying at the auction, you won't catch him.
It's not just a matter of who's at the auction. You also have to source the goods, transport them back to Fontaine, get them to the auction house. none of which are tasks he performs himself. He has a whole crew to hide behind. Tracking down the goods is already complicated enough. They change hands so many times, the trail is almost impossible to follow. So the most logical course of action is to play the long game.
Wait, so you were just pretending? And to think, Paimon thought all that stuff about wrapping up the case and taking a break was actually true!
Right you are, Traveler. Working with the Millilith and Officer Edler, we managed to launch attacks on all of the Dark Financier's strongholds, which allowed us to nab most of his crew. Those spies just now were his most important agents, the two people he trusts to have direct contact with him. The first is Corday, a senior member of the Fontaine Antique Association, in charge of auctioning off the goods, and the other is Dodamani, a ship owner from Sumeru and longtime cargo transporter. They're under pressure to salvage the situation, so we let them slip through the cracks on purpose. The goal is to make them think that, by some stroke of luck, they're in the clear and have room to act. They think keeping tabs on Officer Edler will allow them to operate under her radar and get whatever remains of their goods out of Liyue. But little do they know, while their attention's fixed on her, I'll be secretly gathering the intel that's gonna bring them crashing down. So, interested in coming along for the ride?
Yeah, we kinda stumbled into this whole thing, but now we're a part of it too. Let's do it! For Yelan, for the people of Chenyavale, and for, the Liyue business world!
I admire your selflessness, Traveler and Paimon. Let me be the one to look out for your self-interests then, namely your payment. How about we do this the Fontainian way? You'll get exactly what a top agent receives for a dangerous field mission. Getting started is always the hardest part, but luckily, I have a lead. The Dark Financier's crew is even more on guard than usual, so our best bet is to do some counter-surveillance to get on the right track. And I think I know just the place to start. Let's head northeast and see if I'm right. Well, it didn't take long for you to understand our role here, Traveler. Thinking like a top agent already. Impressive. Like I said, we need to start small. If we want to track down the man himself, our best bet is to start with his goods. So right now, finding his stock is our #1 priority. And to do that, locating his hidden stronghold is imperative. Which brings us to why we're here. Pretty good vantage point from up here, don't you think?
Huh, guess so. Paimon can see the port of Yelan Wharf, the boats in the distance, and some kind of tower. What's that for?
Some good finds. Whatever door this key opens could be critical to the investigation. And this carrier pigeon tube contains several coded messages.
Huh. So there really is evidence around here. It's like these guys aren't even afraid of getting caught. What if the Millilith noticed them spying and decided to investigate?
These objects suggest the Dark Financier scouts were likely disguised as fishermen. People like that are trained not to crack under pressure. All they'd need to do is come up with a believable excuse, like needing a place to rest. The Millilith can't investigate or apprehend a civilian without probable cause.
Ugh. Paimon can just see their smug faces getting away with something like that.
Not to mention, the traces on these objects are fresh, which means the scout here is still active and wasn't among those caught by Officer Edler. So we need to stay vigilant. We can't let them know we're still on their tail. I had a hunch this area was being used as a lookout, and I was right. But that still leaves the question of where the goods are hidden. Given a carrier pigeon's speed, the two locations should be close enough to deliver messages quickly. That means the base we're looking for should be within a certain radius. ruling out areas within line of sight of the lighthouse, as well as places with a lot of foot traffic.
That just leaves the shallows to the north of Mount Mingyuan?
That certainly sounds plausible. You have the cover of the mountains and the advantage of hiding right under the authorities' noses. Well, our next destination is decided then. Let's go.
Okay, so no fakes. These people are definitely anxious to get their goods to Fontaine all in one go. But did you see the strange markings on some of them? Wonder what they mean. Let's go ask Yelan!
Good work. As for the auction, Officer Edler was able to gather some useful intel too. We're almost certain their target is the auction taking place at the Hotel de Boer in 2 days. The markings you managed to capture were applied with a special kind of paint, almost impossible to notice without some kind of specialized tech, like the forensic imaging device. I think we're looking at a treasure hoarder insignia. Each big shot in the organization has their own, almost like a personal signature. And considering what we know about the case, I'd wager this is Scamface's handiwork. Based on the port manifest, it looks like the marked goods include fertilizer from Sumeru, local fireworks, soap, and perfume.
So, nothing special then? Just some farming products and everyday necessities?
Fertilizer, soap, and perfume. No, there's something going on there. Might be risky, but I'm gonna investigate on board and hitch a ride to Fontaine while I'm at it.
Yeah! Let's see this thing through! Paimon's gotta know what's going on here.
Well, you've proved yourself so far, so I don't see a problem with that. Just know once we board the ship, we're bound to come face to face with Corday and Dodamani. So make sure you're prepared. The investigation might look a little different this time.
Excuse me, passengers. Due to limited space in the cargo hold, we've been forced to store some of the goods on the deck. We apologize for the inconvenience.
Please, no need to apologize for your success in business. I just hope it rubs off on the rest of us.
It looks like all the goods marked with Scamface's insignia have Corday listed as the shipper. Dodamani is in the cargo hold, likely making sure all the goods are in place for delivery.
Are they inspecting something? Why are they rifling through the boxes? Paimon can't make sense of it.
Here, take this cipher. It should help you figure out their coded messages. This is the plan. While I distract Corday and Dodamani, you two investigate the goods marked with Scamface's insignia. We might learn something useful. By all means, I trust your judgment.
Huh? Wait! You're just gonna go up and talk to those guys? Yelan!
Oh, excuse me, gentlemen, but have we met? You're Mr. Corday, a famous antique collector in the Quartier Lyonnais, correct? I believe the three of us have had the pleasure of meeting once before, at Jiuguan Tea House in Yilong Wharf, if I'm not mistaken.
Huh? You... the Dice Master of Yenshang Tea House. It's a pleasure, Miss Yelan.
Oh, so you've heard of me too?
Yes, I had an absolutely delectable cup of tea there once. One can hardly leave Yenshang Tea House without hearing about your legendary dice skills. I suppose something keeps bringing us together. A shared love of tea, perhaps?
Yes, that must be it. Well, looks like we ran into each other at the perfect time. I'm heading to Fontaine on vacation, you see. Any recommendations on where I should visit? Someplace I could find an exquisite tea set, perhaps. Like a fine art exhibition or an auction. I hear Fontainian black tea has a unique flavor. I imagine your tea sets are a sight to behold as well.
You...
Ah, does this gentleman have an interest in tea sets as well?
Of course. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Yelan. I'm also heading to Fontaine for travel. Corday's invitation, you see. In fact, I'm the one who owns the ship.
Yep, Yelan is actually talking to them. Are we sure that's a good idea? All right, then let's go somewhere out of their line of sight so we can start investigating those boxes. What's with the strong smell coming from these boxes? Must be a bunch of stuff mixed together. And there's a strange note. But Paimon can't read what it says. Yelan really thinks of everything, huh? But, you know how to use this thing, right? Well, what does it say? Blowing up the ship? Are they nuts? Paimon thought this was about getting the authorities off their tails, not drawing even more attention. Okay, Yelan was right. This guy is a complete lunatic. There are innocent people on this ship. We need to find and disarm those bombs as soon as possible. All right, that's all the bombs on the deck. What about the cargo hold? Do we have enough time?
Already taken care of. Good work, you two. You stayed calm and acted fast. That was the perfect response to a situation like this.
Yelan! Honestly, it's all thanks to you. It was your idea to board the ship, and we never would have been able to figure out that message without your cipher. Wait a sec, where are Corday and Dodamani?
Recovering from the shock, I would imagine. Suddenly finding out that you're being targeted by a dangerous individual. That must have been quite the ordeal for you, gentlemen. Almost lost your cargo and your lives in one fell swoop.
Indeed. To think in what I did to offend this fellow. Resorting to murder like this. It's quite unfathomable.
Well, no need to fear. I'll alert the Maison Gardiennage at once and ask them to send agents to Lumidus Harbor. The two of you are clearly in need of protection. Your cargo will also need to be handed over to the authorities for inspection, Mr. Corday, just to eliminate any remaining hazards. After which, the Maison Gardiennage will escort it all to its intended destination, of course. So, if I may, where are your goods heading, Mr. Corday?
To the Hotel de Boer for an auction in 2 days.
Ah, then rest assured. The Maison Gardiennage is full of diligent and responsible personnel. You can trust that your goods will arrive at the auction without a scratch.
Our sincerest thanks.
Oh, you scared the life out of Paimon, Yelan! Going right up to them like that? What if they caught on and decided to, try something desperate?
It's not a question of if, Paimon. I'm sure they caught on. But in the interest of their own survival, They had no choice but to play along. Now we can be sure the Dark Financier is getting desperate. The stint on the ship? That was him trying to cut his losses to save his own skin. He needs to get rid of anything that could be traced back to him. So, you blow up the ship. You send the goods meant for the auction straight to the bottom of the sea, and let Scamface take the heat. The last thing he wanted was for the goods to make it to the auction, but now we've ensured that they will, so he has no choice but to follow through. He could choose not to send one of his agents to the auction, and let his goods go to an unsuspecting buyer instead. But remember, their worth is inflated. It would only be a matter of time before the buyer realized the valuation was off and reported it to the authorities. As the seller, Corday would be staring down a potential conviction. At best, the Dark Financier has to find a new kind of mora laundering scheme. At worst, he loses one of his last reliable agents in Fontaine. Exactly. Our trail of evidence remains intact, and we let the buyer at the auction lead us closer to the Dark Financier.
Okay, so, that means, can we go over this again?
Don't worry. I'm sure the Traveler will explain it again in Paimon-friendly language. We're in the home stretch, and taking advantage of this auction is crucial. So come prepared to see this through. Officer Edler already has an informant stationed at the scene. This invitation letter will get you into the auction. I'll meet you at the Hotel de Boer in 2 days.